All right, everybody, it's 1:31 and I call the April 10th, 2024 meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals to order. We actually have 7 members present. So we will first ask for any public comment from those sitting in the chambers and then call on the members of the public attending remotely. If a member of the public attending remotely wishes to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting, they should indicate this by using the raise hand function in Zoom and/or by messaging the host in the chat function. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. Board members, please state your name when making a motion in a second. Please silence your cell phone so they do not disturb the meeting. Can we have roll call, please, Shelley?
Mr. Tavernier,
Here.
Mr. Byers,
Here.
Mr. Velman,
Here.
Mr. Devon,
Here.
Mr. Ritzma,
Here.
Mr. Roush,
Here.
Mr. Schaefer.
Here.
We have 7 members present. Petition number 1, location 53633 Ash Road, owner Ash Road LLC. Requested action. Variance 1 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 14.8 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for lot 11 of a proposed subdivision. Variance number 2 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 13.5 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for a lot 10 of a proposed subdivision. Zoning A agricultural district county and R single family district county.
So Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. So this petition is definitely going to be familiar to you. Once again, this is the site of the proposed Hawthorne Crossing subdivision. And again, this is just an effort to deal with the agriculturally zoned property to the rear of this parcel. In itself, it's not even 20 acres. So no matter what they were able to do with it, it would still need to get a lot area variance because any parcel that contains the R single family and the agricultural district would have to meet the more exacting standards of the A agricultural district. The only way that this differs from what you previously saw is instead of keeping all the agricultural property onto one of the larger parcels to the rear of the subdivision, they're now electing to essentially split it between the two. The portion of those lots that is zoned are single family towards the new road that'll contain a single family home per lot. And then the remainder will be occupied by stormwater retention for the subdivision. Once again, staff recommends approval. As noted, the agricultural property is below 20 acres. It has no existing road frontage, therefore it's of limited agricultural value. It would have to essentially access through a major residential subdivision. Furthermore, staff prefers this property remain agricultural rather than being rezoned R single family, as it would provide a nice buffer between the residential properties and the agricultural properties to the west. And this is the property currently viewed from across Ash Road. And again, this is the proposed layout. Turning to the state law criteria, we find that the approval would not be injurious to public health, safety, or morals. Furthermore, there'll be no injury to public welfare as it's of limited agricultural value, considering lack of road frontage, proximity to large residential subdivisions, and the potential presence of wetlands as suggested by the National Wetland Inventory. Turning to criteria 2, we don't believe that these variances would result in the use and value of the area adjacent being affected in a substantially adverse manner. The lots resulting from these variances would only allow for 1 single family home each. And again, this would be buffered from the properties to the west through the area that would remain as retention and open space. And 3, we do find that there's practical difficulty in the strict application of this chapter, given that this is a split zone parcel. In order to develop it, they need to account for the agriculturally zoned parcel in some manner. And it's really impractical under the circumstances to provide it with the full frontage, and they can't even provide the full acreage without seeking a variance one way or another. So consequently, we recommend approval of the variances, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Is there any questions?
I wasn't here for the meeting, obviously, for when something happened with this subdivision previously, so obviously they came from different variances, but I had time to research it. What is the ordinance or requirement for the entrance and exit of the subdivision onto Ash Road there? Are there a requirement for turning lanes and slow down lanes, then acceleration lanes?
That's something that's reviewed by the county engineer. I believe in this case, he was requiring a decel lane. I'd have to go back and look at that, but that's more during the subdivision approval process.
Got it. Thank you.
Good. So petitioner present? Zoom. My screen's not working, Shelley, so I can't see anything.
Your screen's not working?
Uh-uh.
What about now?
I got a great view of Terry. Okay. We got two options.
I make a motion to table petition number 1 till the end of this meeting pending the petitioner showing up.
Johnny Ritzmo, second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Byers?
Yes. Well, we can do.
You don't have to do a roll
Yeah.
call vote on that. Nobody's on Zoom.
I can do all in favor. All right, so we got a motion and a second to table this petition number 1 to the end of the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Petition number 2.
Location 51590 Pond Street. Owner Dale Bizik. Requested action, variance from section 154.107 sub C1 to allow a front yard setback of 23 feet where 25 feet is required for an enclosed front porch. Zoning R single family district, county.
Did you click on the PowerPoint? Good afternoon. Is this on? Can you guys hear me?
No.
I can hear you.
It doesn't sound like it's gonna be recorded. Here, I'll just leave it on.
All right.
All right, sorry about that. Far El Sharif Area Plan Commission staff. The subject property is on Pond Street, kind of tucked behind State Road 933. The property owner was working on improvements to the current home on site when they were red tagged by the building department. Upon coming in to pull permits, it was determined that the front porch addition they were working on slightly encroaches into the front yard setback. Staff is recommending approval of the variance. This image was provided to us by the petitioner as a reference to what the home looked like previously. And here is the current home on site. So it's the front porch area with the stairs that is requiring the variance. I think previously there were just concrete stairs going up to the house, and this addition was built over that. Here is from another angle. Here is looking down Pond Street. As you can see, front porch additions like this one are not uncommon in this block. Many of these surrounding properties do have much older pre-existing front porches that may already encroach into the current 25-foot front setback. This is a site plan provided by the petitioner showing the distance of the porch from the front property line is 23 feet, roof over existing stairs or existing porch. This image was originally provided to us by the petitioner. I believe he took this around the time the property was first red tagged and he visited our office. It does provide some additional measurements from the ground level to the top. The addition is 12 foot 6 inches. It juts out from where the front door is about 5 feet. The steps were just meant to be temporary and the porch is roughly 2 feet above grade. Going to state law criteria, the approval will likely not be injurious to health, safety, or general welfare. The encroachment is minimal and actually covers over where the front entryway stairs were previously existing and replaces them with a new porch and new steps. Those stairs are necessary for access into the home. The use and value will not be affected in an adverse manner, as the addition is in character with the area adjacent and harmonious with other improvements to the home. Finally, staff does not find practical difficulties. Our ordinance does allow for steps that are 4 feet or less above grade to encroach 3 feet or less into the front setback. It's really the addition of the roof over it that triggers the front setback to apply. So whereas the previous concrete stairs and top pad that were here were allowed by right, he now needs this variance. Strict application would deny the petitioner the ability to construct the addition over a small section that's necessary for entrance to the home, and it additionally wouldn't allow them to build the porch in line with the setbacks of the surrounding homes. For these reasons, staff is recommending approval, and I can take any questions.
Questions? Oh, all right. Is the petitioner present?
Oh, Mayor? Can I pass these out? Yeah. I probably don't need anything to talk, I just that I can't hear.
I need your name and address,
From
please.
Auten Road, my Pond Street, I'm 7 houses.
Sorry, can we get your name and address? I apologize.
My name and address?
Name and address for the board, yeah.
Dale Feitzik, and the address is 51590 Pond Street, South Bend, Indiana.
We're good.
Continue.
And so what I did was, the other day, I measured the first 7 houses on Pond Street. That yellow one that's outlined, that's my house, coming from Auten Road, 7 houses over. And I've outlined mine in yellow. And actually, currently, even with this addition right here, this little porch, it used to be a handicap ramp. There's a little cement porch underneath there. That's been there for probably 75 years. But then the lady that was living there, I built a handicap ramp for her. Then when she went to a nursing home this last year, I decided to just redo things. And so I took the handicap ramp out. And when I took the handicap ramp out at the last minute, I thought, well, I'll put everything else, got a lot of porches like that on that street. So I thought I would do this so they don't have to stand in the rain while they're opening the front door. But you'll notice that on that graph that I made, I'm actually 1 foot farther back off of the middle of that road than the first 7 houses. I'm 42 feet back. And I'm farther back than any of the houses right now. So even though I am encroaching a little bit on what I shouldn't have done, I am still really farther back than any other house on that street right now.
I'm good. Good? Okay, thank you, sir.
All set?
Appreciate it. All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none, any on Zoom? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none, any on Zoom? Public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion?
Adam Devon, I'll make a motion, we approve this variance.
Donnie Ritzmond, second.
Motion second. I can still do all in favor now, right?
Correct.
Yes, if that's
Yeah.
how you want to do it.
Yeah. All right. So since we're all here, we'll handle it that way. All right, we got a motion and a second for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Based on testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. We let him know.
Petition number 3, location, the north side of Douglas Road and southeast of the intersection of Pendle Street and Independence Drive, also known as 19375 Whitefield Way. Owner, University of Notre Dame, Duloc. Requested action, variance 1 from section 154.070 sub C 2B2 to allow trash containers exceeding 36 cubic feet to be located between the front facade of the primary building and the front lot line. Zoning U University District, County.
Farial Sharif again. This petition is from the University of Notre Dame. They are planning to construct a new daycare facility on this parcel of land north of the relocated Douglas Road. Upon reviewing it for conformance with our development standards, the placement of the trash dumpsters as proposed require this variance. All right. Although this is a larger parcel, they are constructing that daycare on about 2 acres of land closer to the northwest corner. To give you a better idea of where it will be, these pictures are from applications they submitted for the overall project, showing you the location and approximate footprint of the building. They are proposing to build the facility will be set back quite far from the public right-of-way at Douglas. Here is the proposed location of the facility. Another angle. This is looking toward Douglas. And here is just the other portion of the parcel that is not currently a part of this project. This is a land survey of the site. And here is the other half of that. This picture shows the approximate layout of the new daycare facility. I will zoom in a bit. They are proposing to put the trash dumpster basically in the parking lot to the west. There you can see it labeled number 10 near the detention pond. Our ordinance states that trash dumpsters exceeding 36 cubic feet cannot be located between the front facade of the primary building and the front lot line, which would be Douglas Road in this case. These renderings show what the dumpster's enclosure would look like. The enclosure does meet the other part of the standard with it being screened on all 3 sides. It's just a location that is requiring the variance. Going on to state law criteria, staff is recommending approval of the variance. First, the dumpster will be screened with solid walls and locking bolts, which would prevent any tampering that could affect the health, safety, or general welfare. Next, it would not adversely affect the use and value of the area adjacent. Mainly, this is because the daycare facility is being built quite far back from the right-of-way, and they're also proposing landscaping that would screen the facility. So the dumpster would only be visible to those visiting the daycare and not those on adjacent properties. Finally, the strict application would result in practical difficulties as there are not really other practical spaces to put the trash dumpster. Going back to the site plan briefly. Requiring it to be placed to the rear would make it too close to the utility equipment, or if it were on the other side, it would end up next to a proposed playground for children, which could be more injurious. So for these reasons, staff recommends approval of the variance and can answer any questions.
No? All right, thank you. Is the petitioner present? Or I think he said he's on Zoom, right?
Yes, he is. Go ahead, Tom.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Safransky, address 4201 Winfield Road, Illinois, Warrenville, Illinois. I am with the civil engineering consulting firm for Notre Dame and KinderCare. There are also members of Notre Dame on this call. If there's any additional questions, we're all happy to answer any questions. I think staff did a great job explaining the circumstances that we're in that are requiring us to request this variance. So I'll just make a couple statements. I guess the enclosure itself is actually over 500 feet away from Douglas Road. So it is significantly set back, and there is a lot of landscaping on the south side of it to help further screen it from anyone who might be looking this direction from Douglas. And then as stated, whether it's existing or proposed utilities or the detention basin, or a planned building expansion for the future, there's just not room to bring the trash enclosure behind the front facade. And then also, that would bring it closer to the playground, which could create more issues as well. Thank you.
You guys got any questions? No? Nope. All right, thanks, sir. All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion?
Tom Byers, I move to approve the variance in accordance with the staff recommendation and any conditions set forth therein.
Lance Roush, second.
All right, motion and a second, for approval of variance number, or, agenda number 4 with conditions, I'm sorry? 3, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. 3, conditions outlined by the staff in the report. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Number 4, location 55455 Quince Road. Owner Jesus Torre and Della Rangel. Requested action, variance number 1 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 13.29 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for the establishment of an agricultural use. Zoning A agricultural district, county, and R single family district, county.
Shelley, would you mind clicking on the PowerPoint? Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff. So the petitioner in this case is looking to put horse stables and an associated shed for storage on the property found on Quince Road. We would classify this use as an agricultural use, which is permitted on residential properties greater than 5 acres in area. While the petitioner has 2 properties abutting each other that do have a greater total than 5 acres, this property is split zoned A agricultural and R single family residential. Due to the topography of the site, the only viable place for this the horse stables are toward the rear of the property, in the portion zoned A agricultural. And in this district, the minimum lot area for establishing that agricultural use is 20 acres, thus necessitating the variance. Here's the property, toward the front near Quince Road. Looking towards the back, you can see in the front there, it's kind of hilly. And then in the rear, it flattens out. That's looking back through the wooded area of the parcel. There's looking north on Quince and looking south. Here is the initial site plan provided by the petitioner, showing the horse stable and then as well as the storage shed associated with that use. And this is the scaled version of that site plan. Turning to our state law criteria, approval of this variance will not be injurious to the surrounding community. As I just showed, the stable will be located 120 feet from the nearest property line, and the property is naturally wooded, providing some additional screening for that use. Given the mix of residential and agricultural parcels in the surrounding area, approval of this request will not substantially affect the use and value of the surrounding properties. And finally, staff finds that the unusual split zoning of the property, when taken with the topographical challenges presented by the residential portion of that property, represents significant practical difficulty in this case. We do recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you'd have.
Anything? No? All right, is the petitioner present? Name and address, and you got 10 minutes.
Hello, name's Jesus Rangel, 55455 Quince Road. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
You got anything to add to?
Pretty much, like you said, pretty much the way the land is set up, best portion to make the horse stalls would be all the way towards the back. It's the flatter area. Toward the front is kind of just hilly, and I mean, take a lot of fill there to make it nice and level, except where we're proposing to build a pole barn. That's pretty much the next flat area that we could find that would be better for building that pole barn area.
There's any questions? I'm confused. What are you confused about? Half of it's split residential, half of it's split.
No, but where do you live?
Where do I live? I live at on Kennewood, probably 5 minutes from there.
Good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Guys got anything else? No? All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, well,
I want to know who's gonna take care of it. Nobody's there.
we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom?
iPad, are you for or against this petition?
Two iPads.
You have your hand raised. Are you for or against this petition, please?
I just had a couple questions.
Okay. Can I have
I
your
live
name and
at,
address, please.
my name's Deborah Hanna. My address is 26565 Clyde Court.
Okay.
I was just wondering, if they're gonna have other livestock out there besides horses.
So if you have questions or concerns, you can voice those and then he'll have a 5-minute rebuttal after the public portion that he can answer everything.
Okay, and then I was also wondering, do they have to have permits before they can start building stuff out there if it is approved for agriculture? Because I see there's already a start of a building being built. Cause their property butts up against mine and my son's.
Okay.
And they have tore out a lot of the wooded area, which compromises wildlife, I feel. But I'm just curious as to, what's gonna happen out there. So that's all I had.
Okay, so to answer your permit question, that's not something that we handle. The building department does. So you'd have to call there. But I
Okay.
can have him answer the other questions that you have. All
Yeah,
right?
because they've already started building stuff back there. So
Okay,
thank you.
no problem. Thank you. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to speak in favor of this petition? See none. Anybody would like to, is there anybody that, what? Oh, is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. You have 5-minute rebuttal to either answer the questions or give us anything else that you got.
Just to answer a question, I was gonna be horses, that's it, just 2 horses for now, nothing other than that.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, you guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion?
Adam Devon, I make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
Tom Byers, second.
Okay, motion is second to approve, agenda item number 4. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
So 6-1 in favor. Based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Sorry, who was the no?
Sydney.
Sydney. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Five. Jeez,
Baby brain.
okay.
Variance number 5, location 64600 State Road 331 Highway. Owner Darlene K. Garrett. Requested action, variance from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 0.9 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for an adjustment of existing lot lines. Zoning A agricultural district, county.
Good afternoon. This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff again. This is a lot area variance requested to allow for a subdivision that cleans up ownership of the accessory building currently found immediately south of the subject parcel. This lot and the others directly north of it were created in 1997 when a 3-lot subdivision carved them out of the parent farm parcel abutting to the east and to the south. At that time, the necessary frontage and lot area variances were secured. Because the lots were in common family ownership, the accessory building was historically used by the subject property with no issue. However, they're again requesting the lot area variances to clean that up. Here are the farmhouses found on site today. There's the accessory building on the neighboring lot used by the subject property, as you can see by the connected driveway there. This is the surrounding area looking south on 331 and north. Here's a site plan provided by the petitioner showing the new proposed lot layout. It's going to be 0.9 acres in total, which is less in acreage than the original variances granted in 1997, requiring the variance today. Looking at our state law criteria, staff finds that granting this variance will not be injurious to the public. Again, as I just mentioned, that lot area variance was already granted to this property in 1997, and no additional development of either the subject property nor the adjacent farm field is planned as a result of this action. The use and values of the surrounding properties will continue to remain the same. The accessory building in question has historically been used by the subject property since the home was built in the 70s per our historic aerials. Approval of this variance ensures the building will be continued to be used as an accessory to residential use as it has been historically. In this case, staff finds practical difficulty because the strict adherence to the lot area minimum standard would require the subject parcel take additional productive farmland away from the parent parcel to fit that accessory structure on their parcel. Staff does recommend approval of this requested variance, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Fired. Terry?
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office. Address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue in South Bend. Carl's presentation kind of sums it up. The Muckle farm that was here and it's been in the family for over 100 years had there were 3 daughters and they lived in the 3 houses that were split off that Carl mentioned there. Recently, that property was sold at auction and one of the daughters wanted to retain the accessory building. It's attached basically by the driveways and been used for years in that fashion and has worked out a deal to purchase that back from the purchaser of the property at the auction. And the configuration that we have on our thing is adding about 0.4 acres to the existing half-acre parcel that's there. And it's kind of cleaning up what is they're claiming and using around the buildings in this fashion. So we're not taking anything additional out of agricultural production. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Nope. All right, thanks, sir. We'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed.
County Ritzma, I'll make a motion that we approve the variance with the conditions imposed outlined in the staff report.
Adam Devine, second.
All right, motion and a second to approve agenda number 5. With conditions outlined in the staff report. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. All right, based on the testimony presented here today, the area board of zoning appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Petition number 6, 27580 Stanton Road. Owner, Ginsinger Revocable Trust et al. Requested action, variance number 1 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 2 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for a 1-lot subdivision. Zoning A agricultural district, county.
This is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. Staff recommends approval of the variance on the condition that an additional 65 feet of road frontage be added to proposed lot 1, which would result in a road frontage of 480 feet. The current portion of the parcel that's south of Stanton Road contains around 14.8 acres and over 650 feet or 1,650 feet of road frontage. So if the subdivision is completed as proposed with the 450-foot road frontage on lot 1, this would leave over 1,400 feet of road frontage and over 40 acres for the balance of the property, which would allow that balance to then be split into 2 additional buildable lots after the variance is granted. So if the variance were granted today as proposed, this could potentially result in 3 buildable lots where currently only 2 would be permitted by right. So adding that additional frontage to this lot will reduce the road frontage of the balance below that 1,400, and therefore it would not allow to have that additional split in the future. This is the current house as viewed from Stanton Road. And again, this is what's being proposed. The lot, it has 415 feet of road frontage, leaving over 1,400 feet for the balance, which then could be split into 2 parcels with over 20 acres and 600 feet without having to come back for a variance. And that's our concern. Staff finds that approval of the lot area variance would have no impact on public health or safety. Furthermore, if it's held to that condition, it'll have no impact on general welfare, as it would not allow for the establishment of additional residential use in the agricultural district beyond what is permitted by right. Similarly, we find that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property would not be affected if the variance were held to that condition, in that it would not allow for an additional residential use in the agricultural district. And we do find that there is strict applications in the terms of this chapter. As following the zoning ordinance, the property owner would need to split off an entire 20 acres with the existing home, which would very much reduce the likelihood that this acreage would remain in agricultural production in the future. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Where that's 2 acres coming out of that.
What's that?
Well, you got 1,600 feet. What? You have, I don't recall how many feet you said of road frontage. Whereabouts is that house going to be placed?
It's an existing home.
I mean, is it going to be in the corner?
It's going to be, if you look in from the west, next to the ditch. Here, right there.
Right in the middle.
That's right in the middle.
But it is next to the ditch.
Okay, so right now it's proposed at 415 foot of road frontage. You want to add 65 more feet to make it 480.
That's correct.
Wind up being 480.
Any questions? All right, Terry?
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office, address 1402 Mishawaka Avenue here in South Bend to represent the petitioner. The staff's recommendation for, allowing this 2 acres, it's an existing home between the 2 parcels north and south of Stanton Road there, represents about 160 some acres. Yeah, we could cut off 20 acres, take a lot more ground out of agricultural production. They're looking to make the minimum impact for the area. They've decided on 2 acres. Because of kind of where the well's located on the west side of the house, we've added the additional acreage to the east side of the house there, so that if they ever had to replace their septic system, they could on the east side and keep it separated from the well. Adding the additional property takes more ground out of agricultural production than, we could gerrymander and get 20 acres multiple ways around and create parcels, but the whole idea is just to create the 1 parcel around the existing home, and the rest of the property is going to be continue to be farmed on both sides of Stanton Road there.
Opposed to the additional 65 foot?
I'd prefer not to, but if that is going to be the requirement, we can live with it. I'm just trying to live to the agricultural portion and try to save as much of it as possible.
Okay, you guys got anything?
I just say this, I agree with Terry. Fewer feet, the more it stays in agriculture. Because you don't need how many acres for a house.
Thanks, Terry. All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Anybody that would like to speak against this petition, please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Public portion is now closed. You guys got anything to discuss or take a motion?
Adam Devon, I'll make a motion that we approve the variance as presented.
Sid Schaefer, I'll second that.
Got something you're gonna say, Abby, or?
Not with the conditions recommended by staff? Okay.
Okay, so we got an approval and a motion for approving agenda number 6 as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Joe is opposed, 6-1. All right, based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants a variance and will issue written findings of the facts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 7, location 51302 State Road 933 Highway and 51318 State Road 933 Highway. Owner SLM Management LLC. Requested action, variance 1 from section 154.378 to allow a 225 square feet freestanding sign where a maximum of 100 square feet is permitted. And variance number 2 from section 154.378 to allow a 30-foot tall freestanding sign where a maximum of 15 feet is permitted. Zoning C, Commercial District County, and R, Single Family District County.
Farial Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. This property is located off State Road 933. The property contains 1 building. The lots are under the same ownership. The current property owners purchased this property to establish a pawn shop business. When they purchased the property, there was a pre-existing pole sign facing the highway. They are here today to request variances that would legalize the sign's height and square footage as is under the current zoning ordinance, thus allowing them to update it to install a digital EMC sign. Staff is recommending denial of these variances mainly due to lack of practical difficulty. Here is the current sign at the site. So this sign was first constructed around 1995 and advertised a bake shop, the Country Bake Shop, for quite a while before the current property owners took it over. In 1995, the sign was approved as it met the standards for setback, size, and height of that 90 zoning ordinance. Thus, as it currently is, the sign is what we consider to be legal non-conforming, as in legally established but not conforming to the current ordinance's standards with regards to height and square footage. Here is another angle showing the building on site, which was renovated for the pawn shop. With regards to legally non-conforming signs, the zoning ordinance allows these to continue to exist and even be updated for what is considered normal repair and maintenance. That would have included the updates to the face of the sign, which they have already done. However, once the alterations to the sign are basically non-routine or go beyond 50% of the cost of construction of the entire sign, the ordinance states that such signs must not be repaired, maintained, or constructed except in conformity with the current standards of the ordinance. Thus, in order for them to be allowed to install an EMC on that bottom half as they would like, they either need the variances or they must reconstruct the sign that meets the currently required square footage and height. So the EMC would constitute an update that is non-routine because it would be replacing the entire cabinet. This is looking directly across the property. Here is looking south down SR 933 from the subject property. As we look at the nearby area, it's very commercial in nature and large signs are not uncommon along this corridor. Driving downward toward the north, signs of different types are very common and drivers are likely accustomed to an increased size and height than what is required on the ordinance. Going into the site plans, here's one rendering they provided to us. They would like to replace the bottom cabinet with a digital EMC. Here is the rendering showing all the label dimensions of the sign, which was used to calculate square footage and height for this variance. It's currently 30 foot tall, which is 50% more than what is actually permitted. The maximum permitted height would be 15 feet. It's also significantly larger at approximately 225 square feet, where 100 square feet is permitted. Finally, this site plan sketch was submitted by the petitioner showing approximately how far the sign is from property lines and other structures. I was able to confirm that the sign does meet the 25-foot front setback, which is what is currently required. Going on to state law criteria, I kind of hinted at the first two. Approval would likely not be injurious to the community as the sign is pre-existing since 1995 and the corridor has not changed significantly in favor of smaller signs. So the size and height is one drivers are accustomed to. The sign is also sufficiently set back. Use and value, the area adjacent is commercial in nature and has similar signs. Although EMC signs are not as common, they're not non-existent either along this corridor. However, staff finds the strict application would not result in practical difficulties. As I've stated before, the sign is legally established non-conforming and thus it can be altered for routine maintenance. So the zoning ordinance basically does give them some flexibility, which would include updates to accommodate a new property owner's business, which they have done. In addition, as existing, the sign is relatively large and remains visible to the public, even from a distance. So they're not being prevented from freely advertising. Because the zoning ordinance would let them update the sign without seeking a variance, and because the sign is still visible by potential customers, staff finds that further updates to the sign to accommodate an EMC do not result in practical difficulties. And at this time, I can take any questions.
So the proposed electronic portion is the same size as the lower portion.
I believe so.
Size isn't changing, it's just they want to make that electronic.
Yeah, they want to swap it out for an EMC.
And I'm a little confused by your stance and then the words you say, but that's okay.
Okay.
With regards to this, the EMC, is it because it's been determined by staff that it is out of character, or is it determined because it's more than 50% of the value?
So we have a section for legal non-conforming signs, and those signs can continue to exist as long as they do normal and routine repair and maintenance. And there are two exceptions in which they must update it. The first is says that the removal of a sign structure or sign cabinet shall be deemed definitive evidence that such sign requires work beyond normal and routine repair and maintenance, and such sign shall not be repaired, maintained, or reconstructed except in conformity with the provisions of this chapter. So that does make it pretty clear to us that swapping this out for an EMC would not constitute normal and routine repair maintenance. If it wasn't so clear, we would have gone on to the 50% thing, but in this case, it's just kind of by that first criteria that they would require to either seek a variance or reconstruct the sign.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else got any questions? All right, is the petitioner present? On Zoom? Apparently not. Got two options.
We can vote on it without having a petitioner here, right?
Well,
Your options when there's no petitioner is to either table it or dismiss it.
so we can vote on it or table it till the end of the meeting, or table it till next meeting, correct?
Yes.
But we can table it till the end of the meeting. If they're still not here, then we have to vote on it to table it to the
Mr.
following.
Chairman, I will make a motion to table agenda item number 7 till the end of the meeting after agenda item number 1, who also didn't show on time, to see if they actually show up.
Lance Rouse, second.
All right, motion is second to table. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, all opposed. Great.
Number 8, 31479 Tyler Road. Owner Kevin W. Borsch. Requested action, variance from section 154.092 sub A to allow for a minimum lot area of 1.1 acres where 20 is required for the adjustment of existing lot lines. Zoning A agricultural district, county.
Good afternoon. This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff once again. So petitions number 8 and number 9 are repeats of petitions that you have already heard and granted exactly 1 year ago in April of 2023. The lot area variances for both properties were granted in order to facilitate a subdivision that moved the common lot line between these two properties with the intention of cleaning up ownership of accessory buildings used by the lot on the west. Can you click on the PowerPoint, Shelley? Since last year, the subdivision was filed, approved, and recorded, so the variances did vest. However, it has come to light since then that the railroad abutting directly to the north owns more right-of-way than what was previously believed. As such, the properties need to be re-subdivided to take that new right-of-way into account. Because the new right-of-way was found, it turns out that both properties will have slightly less acreage than what was approved last year in 2023. So 1.34 acres versus 1.13 acres this time versus 1.34 last year, and then 5.61 acres versus 6.01. So it is necessary to come back and get these variances today. Petition number 8 involves the western parcel, 31479 Tyler. Here's the current residence, looking west on Tyler, looking east. This is the subdivision approved in 2023 and the one that is proposed today. So staff does recommend approval of both petitions under the same criteria that they were approved last year. We'll go over the state law criteria. Approval of the variances will not be injurious to the public. Moving that common lot line will not remove any land from agricultural production or impact any future production, as the lot lines are just being adjusted to accommodate existing accessory structures. Given the historical presence of the homes found on the lot and the proximity to the town of Walkerton, and the mix of uses found there, the use and value of the surrounding area will most likely remain the same. And finally, the strict application of the ordinance in this case would deny the petitioners the ability to adjust an interior lot line to accommodate existing accessory structures and to correct a plat given new information regarding the railroads right of way. For these reasons, staff does recommend approval of the requested variance, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No.
Smart comment, but that's about it.
Terry?
I deserve the smart comments. The
I made all mine upstairs.
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office. Our address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue. The petition before you here is to correct an error in creating the plat. The plans that we had located in the county surveyor's office indicated the right of way for the railroad as being 66 foot wide. After the plat was prepared and submitted and recorded, the auditor's office said, hey, the right of way that was taken out there by deed is different than what was shown on the railroad plans. The right of way was in fact 100 foot wide, which means it took an additional right of way on each side that basically was wider than what I had represented on the plat. It was an error that I should have caught. I didn't, and I'm here correcting the error that was created because of that discrepancy in the railroad plans and the actual deed that was purchased by the railroad back in 1865.
So that's actually owned by the railroad.
It was, yes. It was a fee simple purchase.
A lot of them are easements.
We dug into that also.
All right, thanks, Terry. All right, we'll open this up to the public. Anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition, please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Anybody that would like to speak against this petition, please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion?
We have to separate 8 and 9, or can we do them together?
They have to be separate petitions because they're separate owners.
Tom Byers, I move for the approval of the variance on number 8 as requested. Did I
Joe
get
Vellman,
that
a
right?
second.
All right, motion and a second to approve, agenda item number 8 as requested. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts.
Who second that? Thank you, Joe.
It was Tom and Joe, sorry.
Number 9, location 31441 Tyler Road. Owner Stephen and Vicky Morris. Requested action, variance from section 154.092 sub A to allow for a minimum lot area of 5.5 acres where 20 is required for the adjustment of existing lot lines. Zoning A agricultural district, county.
Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff. Tom, you might not be able to combine yours, but I'm going to. My staff report is the same as the previous petition, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody got any questions? No? Terry?
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office. Address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue, and I have nothing additional to add to it. You've heard it before. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open this up to the public. Anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition, please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Anybody that would like to speak against this petition, please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. Take a motion.
Donnie Ritzman, I'll make a motion. We approve the variance as requested.
Adam Devon, second.
All right. Donnie with a motion, Adam with a second to approve the petition number, or agenda item number 9. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Oh, based on testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you. Thanks, Terry.
DJ, before we begin reading of number 10, this is an item that's been on the agenda number 2 meetings ago. So similar reasonings as before. I'm asking for the board's approval to abstain from voting on petition item number 10 and reiterating why it's, why I don't have a strict financial conflict of interest tied to this project. Helping the town of New Carlisle update their comprehensive plan. I just prefer to abstain from the appearance of voting on a project within their planning area.
I need a motion and a second to motion and a second to allow Donnie to abstain from voting on.
Lance Roush, I'd like to move that we allow Donnie to abstain from voting on agenda item number 10.
Sid Schaefer, I'll second that.
All right. Lance Roush made the motion, Sydney seconded to let Donnie abstain from agenda item number 10. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
You'd like me to leave?
No, you don't need to leave. Okay. Sean? Or no?
Did you,
Yeah, Sean.
No, it's.
did you read it already?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, she's gotta read it.
You looked at me like you did. I don't-
Location 56180 Larison Boulevard. Owner Todd L. Tim V. Kaminsky and Jill Otis. Requested action, special use, mineral and material mining and hauling of sand, gravel, or other aggregate, and the processing thereof per section 154.091 sub B 13 to permit a concrete batch plant, zoning A agricultural district, county.
This is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. As with 2 previous petitions, the purpose of this special use is to establish a concrete batch plant within the A agricultural district. In this case, the proposed site is on Larison Boulevard, which is an approved truck route, and it is immediately across the street from the GM site within the IEC core development area. Staff recommends that the special use be sent to the county council with a favorable recommendation, subject to the same written commitments which you suggested the prior time, which we'll go through in a moment. Again, there's no plans for any sort of on-site extraction of materials. It would be a batch plant wherein cement, aggregates, and other materials will be brought to the site, stored, mixed, and then trucked to construction projects within the area. Again, this is on the east side of Larison Boulevard, north of State Road 2. That's looking north on Larison. Looking south along Larison. These are the exact written commitments which you recommended last time. Staff would like your recommendation to be subject to these once again. The first being that the developers shall adhere to a berm and vegetation screening plan approved by the staff. In this case, they are proposing a berm along the frontage of the site. It's going to be a around a 5-foot berm. They're providing 2 evergreens per 30 feet of lot line, which per the zoning ordinance, we would consider type 2 full screening. We also would recommend a written commitment that truck traffic related to the special use shall be limited to state routes and county roads designated as truck routes by the county engineer. In this case, the road that would provide the entrance to the site is Larison Boulevard, which is an approved truck route. From Larison, trucks could go south to 2. They could also go north and eventually up to US 20 from there. The third written commitment that we're recommending is that material extraction and mining on site shall be prohibited. As always, that was never really the intent. They just need this special use in order to process the aggregate, the materials. Fourth, we recommend that the concrete plant operation be in compliance with all the performance standards contained in 154-073 of the St. Joseph County zoning ordinance. These are performance standards related to lighting, glare, odor. These would otherwise, dust, vibration. These would otherwise not apply to the special use because they aren't applicable to any uses within the agricultural district. But we think they are warranted by the use intended here. And fifthly, a renewal of the special use shall be required 5 years after the granting of the special use. So they would come back before you, essentially to get an additional special use if there's still demand within 5 years. Just another brief look at the site plan. I noted the berm along Larison. It appears that trucks would enter from Larison. There'd be some storage areas to the north of the site. And then the batch plant itself would be to the south. For the special use, all storage and operations would need to be set back at least 50 feet from all property lines. What they're proposing here is far more substantial than that, and we'll get to that in a moment. Turning to the state law criteria, we find that the proposed use would not be injurious to public health, safety, comfort, community moral standards, convenience, or general welfare. Given that the concrete plant would need to adhere to all local, state, and federal regulations related to the storage of concrete ingredients and the processing thereof. Furthermore, as mentioned, there will be no on-site extraction such that heavy site remediation will be needed at the conclusion of the use. We find that the proposed use will not injure or adversely affect the use of the area and the project values therein. We feel that the proposed berm and landscape screening is sufficient to protect the public right-of-way from the visual or the noise impacts of the production. Furthermore, we find that the substantial setbacks that are being proposed are sufficient to protect agricultural or residential uses in the area, the residential uses being extremely limited to begin with. They are proposing a 350-foot front setback from Larison Road, a 130-foot west property line setback, a 125-foot north property line setback, and a 170-foot south property line setback. Furthermore, we find that the written commitment that makes them subject to the performance standards of the zoning ordinance related to noise, vibration, dust, and particulate matter will add an extra layer of protection to the use and value of area properties. Third, we find that the proposed use is consistent with the character of the district in which it is located and the land uses authorized therein. As with this proposal, agricultural uses which are permitted by right in the agricultural district often require large equipment and storage structures and can frequently generate noise, dust, and vibration, similar to what is being proposed here. Finally, the proposed use is compatible with the recommendations of the comprehensive plan. In this case, the comprehensive plan does highlight this area for industrial growth, and a nearby source of concrete will facilitate this proposed industrial growth. Once again, staff does recommend that this special use petition be sent to the county council, subject to the 5 written commitments outlined, and I am happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Sean, the railroad tracks that we're always getting hung up on, that's way north of here.
Correct. Yeah, it's closer up towards 20. You can see there.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, petitioner present. Name and address, please, and you got 10 minutes.
Brad Webb with Kirk Concrete, 5909 Nimps Parkway, South Bend, on behalf of the petitioner. As it's been noted before, this is our third time coming in front of the board. The previous two parcels, I know specifically the last one, there were concerns over traffic safety with entering US 20. Additionally, impact to the surrounding homeowners. So I think that this parcel is our opinion that kind of resolves both of those concerns as there's no immediate homeowners in the area. I guess the one thing I did want to comment on, it was the last written commitment for us to renew this special use variance after 5 years. I guess I would ask you to reconsider that just based on the size of the investment and what will go into development here. I think we envision this as probably a longer term investment at this point. And that casts a little bit of doubt on the long-term viability. So if you would reconsider maybe removing that recommendation or that written commitment rather.
Okay. Anything else? No, you guys got any questions?
I'll ask the question I asked last time. Are you open to any considerations on hours of operation at all?
We would certainly be open to a conversation on that. Again, I don't think there's anybody in the immediate area that would be impacted by our operation. So if that's a concern from a homeowner standpoint, I would assume some of the other industries in there are operating within the same similar hours that we would be, so.
And then I guess this may be more question for staff is they're talking about a permanent facility. What would it take to become permanent?
The same special use would allow it to be permanent. You just would not make it subject to that written commitment, that number 5 that he brought up.
Special use operates it for infinity on the
Correct.
property.
Correct.
Okay. Understood. Thanks.
Sean, can you find or remind us, it seemed like that 5th commitment was due to our discussion, wasn't it?
It was, that's correct.
You relive the circumstances around that? Did that have more to do with, because the other parcels we were looking at were more residential surrounded?
That's my take on the matter. Correct. This is more removed from residential use and within that IEC core development area, which is kind of been highlighted for more industrial uses. So it might be more appropriate to have a permanent concrete batch plant in that vicinity.
Yeah, I think that was proposed because there were homeowners that spoke against it and you all wanted to make sure we were going to be good neighbors. And so recommended that as a commitment from us.
Are you guys buying this property or leasing it?
The intent would be to purchase it.
Bless you.
Oh.
Sorry.
Hey, you guys got anything else? See if we're sleeping. Nothing? All right, thanks, guys.
Yep.
All right, we'll open this up to the public. Anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition, please step forward.
Good afternoon, Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street, New Carlisle. Brad and Jim have kind of expressed the community's feelings that as opposed to the previous 2 Tulip Road locations, of course, the first Tulip Road location had a lot of logistics issues with roads available for truck traffic. This is a much preferred location, and I can assure them and assure anybody listening that there's probably nobody in the community that opposes this location. It is right on production site. It takes traffic off the road, takes traffic off of 2 and 20 of the mixers. They're pretty much going to be right there and not get mixed in with school buses, people going to and from work, people going shopping. That's pretty much going to be an area where there's the trucks coming in for Cleveland Cliffs, all the things going on up there. Now the concrete production in the area. I just I very much support this, and I welcome Kirk Concrete to the community. Thank you.
Fred Bomer, 54-891 Tulip Road. I too, what Dan said, this is the preferred site because of all the safety issues and all the issues with the surrounding area. We don't see that here. I think it's the best place for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry O'Brien, Economic Development Planner. My office is here in this building on the 11th floor. Here to speak in favor of this petition. We've worked with Kirk Concrete on their multiple locations. The Economic Development Department would also like to suggest that the covenant or restriction for 5 years be lifted. We were in support of that restriction based upon the previous locations. We don't feel that it's necessary for this location. Thank you.
Janine Dezek, 54706 Tulip Road. I'm here in support of the 56180 Larison Road location, which is ideal for Kurt. It's close to the major projects in the area. They'll be able to operate with minimal impact on residents, and they'll have immediate use of truck routes. So thank you to Kurt and the Kaminsky family for finding this location, and I ask you to vote in favor.
Thank you. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Can't.
Go ahead, Mr. Francis.
Yes, hi, thank you. Appreciate your taking comments, and you often labor in obscurity, but this one got a lot more attention. I just wanted to speak in favor of, Steve Francis, Jude Lake Drive, Clay Township. I don't live out in the area, but I visit out there quite often. It's really good to see how all the parties kind of came together with a resolution here that is satisfactory to the members of that community and some of the projects out there needing concrete. I think it's a much better location. Obviously, takes the trucks as much as possible off of Highway 20. I hope they're going to come up to Larison rather than down 20, but that would be dependent upon where you're bringing in the trucks. 100 trips a day would have been a lot, turning left onto Highway 20, onto and off of Highway 20. And I hope that you vote for this, and this becomes a kind of example of how all the communities can work together to resolve issues on this project and others. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to speak in favor?
Oh, there's 3 others. What is that? Vanslager?
That's Vanslager.
Okay, name and address, please.
Tim Vanslager, 29417 US Highway 20. First, I'd like to thank Todd, Tim, and Jill for allowing Kurt to possibly purchase their property for this. The previous one at the Tulip and 20 site was directly across from my house. But now I'm in favor for them to be where they are. It's the perfect area for where they need to be. There are no restrictions for them whatsoever. They are on property to where they are able to serve anybody in the area now, as opposed to where it was talked about before, to where if they were one of the other companies was to allow them on their property, they would have been only allowed to serve that property. But now they are on an area which actually will be theirs to where they can serve the community. So like you say, Kurt, welcome to the neighborhood. So I ask, and I will say that I will speak for pretty much a lot of the residents on the US 20 and Tulip Road area, that they fully support this site for Kurt. So I ask for myself and for this area that you vote highly favorable to send this on to the council for a strong recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary?
Mary Countryman, 52959 Timothy Road in Carlisle. I also would like to speak in favor of this location, especially after the problems that arose with all the issues of the Tulip Road and the 20 near Tulip Road location. I think this is a much safer area. I'm not sure if all those trucks that are going to be going to the site are going on would be going on Highway 20, or if they would be going to the site on Highway 2, which would be a preference. But it's much safer, I believe, in general, for it to be on Larison rather than Highway 20. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all that made that location possible.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of this petition on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition, please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. Go ahead.
Who owns these houses that are on the? I mean, if I was there, I'd be belly aching about myself.
I don't know specifically which ones you're pointing to, but the county, St. Joseph County owns a number of those former houses.
Are we approving this or is this going to the county
Hands are
council?
flying.
Hands are flying.
President.
Favorable or unfavorable?
And in light of this discussion, staff is fine with not making it subject to the 5th written commitment.
Thanks.
Okay.
Let's debate that.
I said we're comfortable. I didn't say you're.
He didn't say you have to be.
And I believe if it helps, I believe the previous petitions were actually for like a temporary
Yeah,
facility.
so that's, I literally wrote that down. That's what I was gonna ask. So it was for temporary use. And this is not.
Understood.
It's the same special use.
still
It's the same special use, but what they had asked for, like what they said they wanted before was for some sort of temporary.
Portable, not temporary, it's portable. Was what the words, and words don't matter in
I was
this
gonna
case.
say, my recollection was they specifically said temporary.
My
at the
contention is, I
point.
guess, when it comes to special uses, like it's permanent, right? So what happens 50 years down the road? What happens 20 years down the road? I don't think that the expense of requiring a company or anyone to come back after 5 years to reestablish the need for this special use is isn't too much of a burden. And it gives this board the opportunity to review what has happened previously as well too, that we don't actually control. This is my issue previously with these types of petitions is we're not the final say on this. The board, the county council is, and they should be by rights, but, and they can outvote us and they can do whatever they want to, but if we require them to come back every 5 years or whatever we determine it to be, it could be less than 5 years because it can't be more, correct? It can't be great, less than 5 years, it can be 2 years, 3 years, it could be 10, right?
If you determine to put an expiration on the special, if the county council in their final say votes to put a commitment of an expiration date, they can put whatever date on it they would feel to be
Right.
appropriate.
Understood, because like when we do special uses for like a secondary dwelling for that 3-year to put a modular home or something on a property to allow people to do that, it's a 3-year, well, it's only allowed with 3 years, so why is this permanent? I mean, it's a permanent special use for this property for infinity. That's the struggle I have with that.
I'd only say it's permanent if they buy it. If they choose, he said they're planning on buying,
Correct, yeah,
but there's no guarantee they will.
okay.
So my thought would be if they lease it, you do need to draw a line on maybe not 5 years, but say 7 to 10, because getting return on investment.
Right.
More so than if you're buying it, you're stuck with it.
You are, but.
And they're not able to mine it. So
Right,
they're not
that's
so
a condition, I get it.
It is what it is.
Right.
I mean, we're not rezoning it to a different rezoning where you can have other, right,
No, I
types of
Right.
industries or types of businesses. It's specific to this and there's been zero. I mean, it sounds like everybody's full approval with this and have no issues with the location. They haven't, so I would have no issues eliminating number 5.
Question for the court guys, is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, technically they have a rebuttal, but
Okay, just to clarify, originally it was like the temp plant. Semi trailer stood on end, so we're done with it, scrap it, whatever.
Right.
Is that still kind of what we're doing, or are you talking like full blown like Bendix Drive?
Well, it probably would not be like Bendix Drive. It would be a smaller scale, but I
Yeah.
think as the scope of these projects continue to expand and we learn more about that,
Mhm.
I think that it's probably going to be a need beyond 5 years, and we fully envision probably being there long-term at this point. And just to clarify, the intention is to purchase it subject to favorable recommendation or favorable approval of the special use variance. So if we achieve that, then we will be moving forward with the purchase.
Since you had your hands up, who does, the people that live right there?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna comment,
Yeah.
but both those houses have been torn down. So.
I think that's why they're grayed out.
You go ahead.
They're always green.
Can I say a couple things too? Jim Sellers, Kurt Concrete, 59009 Nims Parkway. I mean, this is a pretty substantial financial commitment. And to limit a business on that, a potential of just closing them down after 5 years to come back here on a special variance, I don't feel that's even fair at all. We comply with everything with IDEM, from stormwater to what we do, the quality of the air that leaves the plant, all the concerns that were here before for you. We've never had a problem with IDEM. We've never had a problem with OSHA. We've never had a problem running our business. So for us to have that limitation on us with the investment that we're making, I don't know if that typically happens here, but I just don't feel that's fair.
Thanks.
So this is inside of the IRC, right?
It's within the core development area, correct?
Core development. So I don't know New Carlisle that well, right? So, and originally that core development area and this core development area didn't want, like, there was an issue with not having plants like this, right? But then it was discussed and brought to everybody that this would be a good spot. It's something that they need the variance for, but this is in a spot where growth is gonna happen. Other industrial areas are going to be, right? It just that a concrete plant or something similar to this was not something that they originally had discussed, right? Do I understand all that correctly?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But public has spoken, everybody's talked,
Mhm.
Kurt's talked to the public, you
Mhm.
guys have talked to the
Was-
public, everybody's fine.
Found to be
We
a
got
far more suitable
Comments
location.
coming in that number 5's not viable anymore because it's not on Tulip Road, so I'm just making sure that I have everything
Correct, you
line
do.
item to where I can vote correctly.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions? Or I'll make a motion. I think we're gonna do this one roll call, probably.
Adam Vaughn, I will make a motion that we approve or send item number 10 to the county council with the favorable recommendation with written commitments 1 through 4.
Lance Roush, second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Velman,
You didn't let me finish my argument, but I'll vote anyway. Yes.
Mr. Devon,
Yes.
Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals will send a favorable recommendation to the county council, subject to the staff's recommendations, numbers 1 through 4, and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you. Now we're back to number 1.
Well, there's still people on, so. Yeah, there's Chris today. Are we
Petition
ready?
number
No.
1,
Good.
location 53633 Ash Road. Owner Ash Road LLC. Variance 1 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 14.8 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for lot 11 of a proposed subdivision. And variance number 2 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 13.5 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for lot 10 of a proposed subdivision. Zoning A agricultural district county and R single family district county.
Staff recommends approval for the reasons stated earlier, and the petitioner is present.
Good afternoon. Chris Godlewski, Marsh, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana, 46601. Sorry for my late arrival. I'm still glad that I'm able to hear the petition today. So this is third time's a charm on this petition, I guess. These two lots on the west side of the subdivision, originally the subdivision some time ago had a development of like 70 lots. And there was a number of lots on the backside that requested lot frontage and lot width. And then fast forward a couple months ago, those lots 10 and 11 on the west side required a lot area because there was a jog in the line and the acreage of the two lots were different than what's proposed today. So this, what you see on the screen is the final rendition. So there's no added lots. There's nothing, the intensity of the development's not changing. What you see is a lot, instead of a jog going north and south in 10 and 11 and a very large and small lot, you have two pretty equal sized lots on 10 and 11. So you, because it's a split zone, that's why you need the lot area variance. And that would be the way to, and then the reason why those lots are that big is because most of that area is very wet and not able to be developed. So I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Need your name and address, and you got 5 minutes.
Dave Wickstrom, 53630 Ash Road. Sorry, my voice is in and out. I'm not sure whether I'm totally against this, but I'm wondering with the given of, I mean, the recent rains, there's water everywhere. Is there gonna be something in this? Number one, is it, I guess, is there someone here from the health department? Because you've got all these ponds. They've told me that the county will test them. I kind of need to know how often. And there's so much water in there. Are these people, when they buy these houses, can you put something in there that says you may have to have a mound system? So I guess the other question, the gentleman here, is it better to have a straight line? Or are you saying it needs the curve so that they have more place to get rid of the water? I mean, this whole area is, I mean, with this rain, if you had could hover over it and look at it, there's water everywhere. And all those ponds are really full. So I'm not speaking against, I'm asking because as you bring up in the state thing, the moral issues of it, you know, are the people going to be aware of it? Are we doing the right thing? Is it advantageous or is it not?
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Public portion is now closed. You got 5 minutes.
Yeah, the question about retention and septic systems. Related to lot 10 and 11, the reason for the lot line change has nothing to do with the design or routing water. It was merely a preference of the developer to have two equal sized lots, nothing other than that. Nothing has been changed with the stormwater retention or health department. The secondary subdivision on a plating side is going through, has gone through primary review, the secondary, we're finalizing the construction plans, the bonding. So, and that will go through all county agencies for review. There is some earthwork being done on the property, so it is not a finished site at this point. But again, to reiterate one more time, on lot 10 and 11, there is no, the lot line change has nothing to do with the how the subdivision operates and works with stormwater or septic. And yes, I would also say the health department has looked at some additional soil boring data we've done on the development. So we're doing everything's asked for by the county.
So if you were gonna bring these up to 20 acres, how many lots would you lose?
On the, it would, that west side would be one lot instead of two lots.
Okay, so. Oh, yeah. Duh, I
Yep.
didn't do the math.
Yep.
Sorry.
So there were about 15
Feeling
each.
I'm having a stroke up
Yeah.
there. Yeah. It's sitting next to you two.
I think the previous one was like 22 and 10 or
Yeah,
something
I
like
remember-
that.
I
Yeah.
remember now. Sorry
Yep.
about that.
Yep, no
No
worries.
question. Okay. You guys got anything else? All right.
I guess just a, not a question, it's more of a question, but to the gentleman's question, that's gonna go to a different board that will hear about the stormwater and all that kind of stuff. That's not something we have peer review on, but somebody else will,
Yeah, I mean.
correct?
Subdivision, they gotta have soil borings done. That'll dictate whether it's what septic it is. and
Okay.
Health department will step in, decide that, and it goes through the planning process and all that. So.
Yeah.
And
So
drainage
that's not,
code.
and, yeah, I mean, it goes through everything. So all we're doing is.
It's not within our purview.
Correct.
Yeah.
Will we be informed of that? When those meetings happen?
Probably not.
It has received primary approval.
Correct.
And drainage plan approval, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We're waiting on construction plans, bonding. Those are some of the final stages. So it's really at a point at an ending point here. It's really getting close to a close.
Okay, so your contention is those have already been through the other boards that would be that way and they've approved it as written.
Correct. Correct.
Understood?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think what he was asking is the general public not get mailed? They don't.
Okay. You guys got anything else? Or I'll take a motion.
Adam Devon, I make a motion that we approve the variances as requested.
Lance Roush, second.
All right, Adam motion, Lance seconded to approve, agenda item number 1 as written. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now we're on to, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Based on the testimony presented here today, the area board of zoning appeals after careful consideration grants you variance and will issue written findings of the facts.
Thank you.
Thank you. What are we on 7 now, right?
Petition number 7, 51302, State Road 933 Highway, and 51318, State Road 933 Highway. Owner SLM Management LLC, requested action, variance 1 from section 154.378 to allow a 225 square feet freestanding sign where a maximum of 100 square feet is permitted. And variance number 2 from section 154.378 to allow a 30 feet tall freestanding sign where a maximum of 13 feet is permitted. Zoning C Commercial District County and R Single Family District County.
Shelley, could you click on the PowerPoint? Far El Sharif Area Plan Commission staff, I believe the petitioner is on Zoom now. I do just want to clarify a couple things from my earlier staff report. I'll just stay on this slide. When we're looking at the state law criteria, it is mainly the last criteria that we are recommending denial on. However, the sign is still pretty large. I think I misspoke earlier. I said it was 50% larger than what is required. It's actually 100% larger because 15 is the maximum height and it's at 30 feet right now. The area is 125% larger than what is required by the standard. So we are saying that this large sign basically gives them the ability to advertise sufficiently. The ordinance gives them the ability to modify it. And that's why we're recommending denial, because there's not practical difficulty. And I can answer any questions if how that clarified things a bit.
All they did was take the old sign and fix it,
Well, they just
relabeled it.
So yeah, reface is completely, the ordinance gives you flexibility to do that to legally non-conforming signs, but it's just the removing of the cabinet to put in an EMC is what's requiring the variance.
The petitioner present?
Yes, I am.
All right, I need your name and address, and you got 10 minutes. If you got anything to add.
Dan McCowiak, 3625 Portland Drive in Elkhart, Indiana.
Okay, do you have anything to add to staff's report?
Well, I will say that, as far as the sign, there's the size of the sign goes, that was, already there when we purchased this facility in, actually in February of 23 is when we purchased this facility. So the sign is already there, was already there at that size. So how it was approved or the size limitations are beyond us at that point. That was already there. What we are attempting to do to that facility that we purchased, like I said, last February, is we are trying to beautify that location. We have landscaping in place to, as you look at the left side there, that picture, that fence is a travesty at best. So that is coming out and being replaced by a nice vinyl privacy fence. We are going to landscape the area around the sign. So this area has been pretty much neglected for quite a while. So I am the chief financial officer for the owner of the property, as well as the chief financial officer for the tenant of the property as well. So we plan to beautify this particular location to help our business here and make it more, basically better looking for what is in that area as it is today. The EMC part of the sign, which will go right in the middle where you see that white part there, basically will help us advertise. It helps us put up informational data that we could use to help customers, to help the area, and just the overall EMC sign that we're putting in is a better visual effect than what is there at the current moment. So again, we are attempting to really make this position or this particular place look a lot better than what it looked when we took it over a little over a year ago. We've spent close to about a $250,000 on renovating that outside facade is all new, as well as the inside of the store has been totally renovated. So again, that is our reasoning for trying to improve that sign, improve the looks of that facility.
Okay, you got anything else?
That's it.
You guys got any questions?
I do. Sir, some of these electronic message centers have the ability to auto dim at night. I know the commercial, billboard industry does that, but it seems like a lot of private LED signs don't. I'm thinking in terms of a lot of churches in the area that are nearly blinding when you're driving it, after dark. Can you allude if you guys have had any discussions about that?
I have not had any discussions about that again. If the recommendation from you guys or from the zoning is to have that done, I'm sure that the people who put the sign in can easily make that a requirement. I don't think that would be a problem one way or the other.
I had a quick question. The existing sign has a small open adjacent sign below the current, I believe it's a 3 foot by 10 foot span. In your rendering, you do not show that. So will you be removing that portion of the sign and only retaining the 3 foot by 10 foot space?
No, so what's happening is that the sign you see on the picture there, we are putting the EMC in that 3 foot by 10 foot area there where it says Monday through Friday. That's where the EMC sign is going, is in that particular block.
Understood. Below that block is currently an open sign or an open, I don't even know what to call it. It's another part of a sign that's below that. But on your rendering with the EMC has all the dimensions, that sign is not reflected in your rendering. Are you going to remove that lower portion?
Yes, the only thing that will be left is what you see there will be that rendering in the middle and then the top. That's all that will be left.
Okay, thank you.
And then we are, and by the way, actually, as I said earlier, we are going to landscape. Everything around that sign is also going to be fixed up. We've just got some bids on that, so that's all going to be fixed up as well. So that looks much more acceptable than what it looks today.
Okay. Anybody else? No? All right, thanks, sir. All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Public portion is now closed.
Are there any EMC? There aren't any regulations in the code, are there?
Yes, there are regulations around EMCs. They should have automatic dimming controls. If they're located within 200 feet of a parcel used for residential purposes, they can't be illuminated between the hours of 11 PM and 6 AM. So if this variance were approved, they would still have to go through the sign permitting process through our office, and we would check that they're meeting all those standards.
200 feet within residential?
Um,
I mean, maybe it's just me, but I mean, just like Sid said, driving up and down Miami, I always think there's some kind of horrific traffic situation or something on fire. It's just Trinity Church. It's doing their thing.
It does say all message shall be static, displayed for a minimum of 8 seconds, instantaneous without fading in, dropping in, spinning, rotating. Honestly, sometimes, they do give us information and it can sometimes be hard to enforce, just to be frank.
There are maximum luminance regulations as well, and we do put those directly right on the ILP,
Mhm.
the improvement location permit, when we permit those. So that way it's included as part of the approval. The other thing I would, if you are leaning toward approval, what I would ask you to consider is a condition that the EMC cannot exceed 40 square feet. This sign is much larger. EMCs are permitted to be up to 40% of the permitted sign area. So normally it would be 100 square feet for a freestanding sign, which would allow an EMC of up to 40 square feet. What they're proposing here is 30 square feet, so they're well under, but if we ever had not a petition, but an application to update the sign, then they couldn't exceed the EMC up to 40% of what you've permitted today.
What they're requesting is allowable size on the EMT. Is that what you're saying?
I'm looking at it more of a guideline for our existing ordinance. So the sign area is permitted as 100 square feet. What they're proposing is 225 square feet. Under the normal circumstances of our ordinance, EMCs can go up to 40%. So in a sign that it meets the code, that would be 40 square feet. Maximum for an EMC. If we go up to 40% of 225, that's a lot more. And that's not what's being proposed. Do you all understand it could be up to 90 square feet if you're looking at it for the freestanding sign. So what I'd ask is a condition not to exceed 40 square feet, which is what is allowed under the EMC portion cannot exceed 40 square feet. So that way we're not getting a huge EMC in the future.
In that corridor out there, I'm trying to think of one business that has an electronic sign. I can't tell you that I know every business out there, but I'm struggling to think of one that might have.
Hearth and Home across the street does.
I'm sorry?
Hearth and Home across the street that has one.
Oh, okay.
I think audio specialist does.
Okay.
Yep, Audio Specialist does.
We drive that road all the time, we don't pay attention.
Shows how well signs work.
Okay.
Am I allowed to speak at this point?
Get a rebuttal if there's no, I mean, I guess we could ask them a question, right? Yeah, no, we did public comment.
We just close it.
If you guys have questions for him, or you want to ask him if he has anything else, you can answer that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. You got 5 minutes.
Oh, I don't even need 5 minutes. I was saying the reason we petitioned this, or the reason we thought we could do this, is because Drive and Shine just maybe 300 yards to the south has got even a much larger EMC sign out there that they have. So that's the reason we figured if we did the smaller one, which is 30 square feet, and trust me, the sign is expensive enough. So we are never going to go any larger than what it is today. Trust me on that. The cost alone on the 30-foot is plenty.
Okay. You guys got anything else for the petitioner? No? All right, thanks, sir. All right. I'll take a motion. Staff's recommendation is EMC no larger than 40 square feet.
Well, staff's
That's the
recommendation.
denial,
No,
the
they wasn't
denial of
denying
the
it.
variance.
Oh,
However,
variance.
Abby was just saying that if you're leaning
Yeah,
toward
I-
approval, she would ask that you put in that condition.
It's like 900 degrees up here.
It's
All right.
fine. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve variance 1 and variance 2 as requested, and with the condition that any added EMC does not exceed 40 square feet.
That's what it is, but it's 40 square feet.
Adam Devon, I will second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve agenda item number 7 as written with a condition of no EMC larger than 40 square feet. Correct?
Correct.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, very, very much. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you. I don't like that. I like the roll call better.
It speeds it up.
You're
You
running
did
the
it when it
meeting,
was
you do whatever you
appropriate. It's fine.
want.
Oh,
It's all good.
Why'd you change it in the middle?
Because.
Sorry, I abstained from voting.
But he
Oh.
told that he wasn't here then.
But I did it just because I thought there was gonna be a little more. I think that's controversy on that one.
Good job.
All
Let
right.
me get to my controversy.
We got findings of, I asked if anybody else had anything.
Yeah.
Nobody talked.
You didn't speak up.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
All right, findings of
Said Wilson
facts.
Bird.
I make a motion, Donnie Ritzma, to approve the findings of the facts for the March 13th, 2024 meeting.
Joe Bellman, I'll second.
All right, Donnie, motion, Joe seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes, there's been a correction to the minutes, right? Yes. Chili?
Yes, I initially wrote that Donnie removed himself from the room for that particular petition, which was petition number. Sorry. It was petition number 8 for the Miller Frederick Trust for Kurt Concrete at that time, and Donnie stayed in the room.
It'll just be a motion as amended over petition number 8.
Meeting minutes for December 13th. Petition number 8.
Say yes.
Donnie Ritz will make a motion to approve as amended.
I'm confused. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 13th, 2023 meeting, subject to the amendment to petition number 8 per Shelley's comments.
So you second.
Sure. I'll
Sure.
He made a motion and then you made another.
Oh, I didn't hear him. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
there's
so
apparently
a lot
Joe
of that
I can't
today.
motioned, Donnie seconded as amended for December 13th, 2023 petition number 8 minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
It is like 1,000 degrees up here then.
it is.
He was just staring at you like,
Dude, I just, I didn't listen to what I just said. He's up
Abby, you
there.
got anything? No? All right,
Getting old time.
last one.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Latrobe second.
All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
I think that condition